Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Just Talking About Sports. I'm Ethan.
I'm Matthew,
And Matt, what are we going to be doing today?
talking about sports.
As usual, as today we've got our another week of college basketball, and we are now into week 2 of college basketball. So today we're going to be breaking down the week 2 of the AP poll top 25 of the men's basketball rankings, and we're going to be basically just going through the top 10 teams and going all over the place for the rest of those besides the top 10 teams. But besides that, basically we'll just get right into it, starting with the number 1 overall team. Obviously, I'll start off with them in Gonzaga. They're 2-0. They've been playing very, very well. And it's a little bit later in the week when we recorded this, they actually were able to knock off number 5 Illinois in a very lopsided game.
That would be Baylor. Number 2 Baylor beat them, but Gonzaga beat West Virginia.
Goodness me! Oh man,
Close enough. It's okay.
What a rough start for me. Wow, I'm thinking of Gonzaga and getting too far ahead. Sorry about that, folks, but man, I just lost credibility so quickly. But West Virginia, I said West Virginia. They ended up knocking them off earlier this week, and no, they were number 11 West Virginia after West Virginia went 11. But Gonzaga had a scare when their true freshman Suggs actually went down with what looked to be a ankle injury. He ended up returning to the game and being one of their basically big reasons why they were able to pull off that win late in the game against West Virginia. So they're looking like a legit number 1 team, and basically until this weekend on Saturday, if they end up losing we have basically the biggest game so far of the year and probably for a little while is Gonzaga. Number 1 Gonzaga is up against number 2 Baylor. That's going to be a humongous game. So basically Gonzaga is going to stay number 1, and if they win again, they're not going to be moving anywhere else anytime soon. So
yeah, and Gonzaga with a high credibility win, but a not high credibility performance. West Virginia, they did not look good the entire game. We're trailing majority of it. 10 minutes left, they start making a push. However, Gonzaga did not look good. They won, but sometimes you don't always win pretty. Sometimes you got to win ugly, and unfortunately, that's the way it went. That is far contrary from number 2 Baylor, who Illinois, number 5, they moved up, I believe, 4 spots and checking 3 spots, and there goes my credibility too. Number 2 Baylor, they went in and they said, "Hey, we are that team." Went in, Desunmu, Coffee Cockburn, get out of the way. It's our turn. Baylor walked in, straight up dominated. I believe the final score, 13-point victory for Baylor. Never in doubt. To me, this is the number 1 team in basketball right now. I believe they are the best team. They've played the best. Doesn't always reflect in the rankings. This weekend will really tell us who is the best team. I do have Baylor walking out of that as the winner. They've looked the most complete. They've just, and it's early, but they've looked the most complete. They've been the most dominant. And don't be surprised if you see this team be the favorite as we go along here in the next couple of weeks.
yeah, Baylor was last year. They were They were going to be a number 1 seed, but they never got the chance to. So this year's a redemption year for most of them, like Jared Butler and Vital and plenty of other people they're just continuing to build around them. So this team's just only gotten better since last year. So I see them staying. No matter what happens on Saturday, I feel like they're going to be staying high in the rankings. So
yeah, and then you take a look at Gonzaga and Baylor. It's 2 completely different things. Baylor's got majority of their core back, while Gonzaga, they just keep recruits, transfers, recruits. It is a new team, and you see the big difference between those 2 programs. I think that is why Baylor looks so good right now. It's going to take a little bit of time for that chemistry to really get going in Gonzaga. That's what I think.
All right. Now we'll move on to the next 3 teams, which I think will just quickly mesh together as the Big Ten boys. I mean, you can we'll include Michigan State in there too, as there's 4 Big Ten teams in the top 4 after all of them have looked pretty strong. I mean, Wisconsin I'll start off with Iowa, quickly run through. I mean, Luka Garza, there's a reason why they're number 1. There's a reason why they're blowing out teams every single week. They just have not had a legit legit team diverse so far this year. So they are basically just waiting for one of those legit games against a Big Ten team, which is going to start continuing when the Big Ten, I guess, conference play begins, I think actually next week. So we'll get to see more of some Iowa against better teams, and we'll see if they are the real deal with Luka Garza. and then I'll let you take the rest.
Sure. Well, I have personal experience watching Illinois. They are probably, apart from Loyola, apart from UMBC and all of them, they are my favorite team. They are really fun to watch. I know a lot of these players. One of them I actually talked to, Brandon Lieb, freshman, went to Libertyville. I believe I touched on him last week, so I'm not going to go any further than that. But disappointing. They're number 5. That will not last. They may not even be top 10 at the end of this week after that Baylor deflation. So they are a storyline to me. We'll see how good they are. And Wisconsin, I don't believe, has earned their ranking here. They played well. Don't get me wrong. Absolutely. And we're not going to debate that. Wisconsin also no high-profile big-time wins yet, and I need to see that in order to say, oh, yeah, they're that team.
Yeah.
And I think that about a lot of teams here at the top, but it's also extremely early.
Yeah, and then I mean the lineup, they're a younger team that had a lot of returning core too, so they're a legit team. They just had that was their first like legit competition that they had this season. It's early in the season. I'll feel like they'll be able to bounce back, and they might drop in next week's rankings, but I feel like they'll be able to get themselves back up. But then quickly touching on Wisconsin and Michigan State. Obviously, Wisconsin's they haven't versed a ranked opponent just yet, but this week they get to verse Marquette, I believe this weekend. So that'll be their first legit test for a number 4 team in the league, and if they really are deserving of the number 4 seed in the rankings. And then also hopping down to some Michigan State action where they were able to upset Duke this week, and which was a huge win for them. That is a statement win. That's going to move them up in the rankings. So congrats to them.
They'll be top 5. They'll be top 5.
They'll be definitely top 5 after the Illini loss. So, and then we'll quickly touch on a few ones. A big upset for at least the. Well, we'll just we'll transition into the big upsets because I think the top 10 teams for now. I mean,
I want to touch on one thing real quick, and then we can move on.
Okay.
My sleeper Final Four team this year, Creighton. I think this is finally the year. They have all the talent. They got a ton of big recruits. It's early, but I'm telling you, Creighton will be there at the end. They'll be a team to watch, and they're number 9 right now, and I think a very good chance to get even higher.
Yeah, thank you for reminding me because I'm a Big East guy because I'm going to Butler right now, so that's one of the divisions that I've been heavily paying attention to. And if I had one early pick for Villanova was supposed to be the favorite, but for me, what I've seen from last year and how they played, it's Creighton, and it's Creighton by a mile. So I wouldn't be surprised.
They by a mile, but I mean they're good. They're very solid.
They are very, very solid in all aspects. So keep an eye on them. But we'll now transfer into the major upsets that have happened so far, which last week we had plenty of them. I mean, upset central. We'll just start off with with Kansas since they're the only team left in the top 10 so far. They are ranked number 7. They ended up losing to Gonzaga. I mean, or actually, well, that was just them dropping. But we'll start off with like the real upsets of the week. We'll start off with the biggest one that kind of shocked everybody, and I think you know which one I'm talking about. That's the Virginia San Francisco game. University of San Francisco knocked off number 4, I believe, number 4 Virginia of last week. That was astonishing and just blew everybody's mind because nobody thought some San Francisco team would be able to beat Virginia, but here we go again with Virginia not living up to expectations. So
this is the one thing that I've learned after the many years. You look at the teams that had early upsets in last year's scheme of college basketball, and the one team I will point out time and time again, Stephen F. Austin with their win over Duke. This is the exact same situation that happened, and they ended up having a career year. They've been in the tournament multiple times over, but this would have been their first real chance of making something happen. San Francisco is not that team. At least we don't think they are. But San Francisco, if they can get into the tournament, they've shown now, okay, we can beat these teams given the right opportunity. This is a huge win, not only for morale in the program, but to say, hey, remember us? We're the team that beat Virginia.
Just a huge win. And then moving on to another big team in Villanova, which we kind of touched on. They ended up losing to Virginia Tech, and they dropped 9 spots in the rankings. So another huge drop for Villanova after they were looking like they were the clear favorite in the Big East, and then they just couldn't get things going against Virginia Tech and ended up losing by, I believe, almost seven or eight. They
It was
lost by
8. Yeah.
it wasn't even close. So not a good
I
look.
definitely want to talk about Virginia Tech. They're losing now as we're in the minute of we're broadcasting here or podcasting, whatever you want to call this, in the middle of a Thursday night. VMI is beating them at the moment. We'll see if that lasts. Probably not. That's going to age poorly. But if you take a look at Virginia Tech, that's a huge win. And they were not, I don't think, really in many considerations in the rankings. They jumped right up to 16. Hey, we're here. Hello. And so Virginia Tech skyrockets right in here. I don't know how good they're going to play, especially seeing tonight, which is getting worse and worse by the minute. But Virginia Tech, I had a lot of high hopes for. Not looking so good right now, but Villanova, they could either be that 6 seed that we saw in 2018, or they could be that team like they have been so many times in the past 5-10 years.
Yep. And then I 100% agree. I mean, Virginia Tech's going to be a roller coaster of a team. We'll see if they're going to continue to keep riding that up or the uphill battle. But I feel like for now, I think they're looking good. Hopefully we'll see if they'll be able to come back tonight. But we'll be moving on to the final big upset, which involves some icky-bicky spiders in the Richmond Spiders knocking off Kentucky and forcing Kentucky to drop 10 spots, and Richmond actually moving above Kentucky all the way up to spot 19 in the top 25.
You know I want to talk about this team, right? Because it's like that weird, oh, who the hell are they kind of team? Yeah, here we go. All right. So I thought last year, and there is one more big upset, and I'll cover it here in about a minute, but as I take a look at Kentucky, they are known for having these, we're in the second game of the season and we're already losing to teams that nobody's ever heard of. Evansville last year, who, if you follow Evansville and you go to Evansville, I pray for you. Really, I do. But you beat Kentucky, and then you look at Richmond and they come in and say, hey, we're going to give you another loss. Richmond was 26 in the preseason poll. They were on the outside looking in. One of the non-power teams, not one of the main, just way out there conference teams are like, what conference do they play in? And so Richmond comes in here and says, oh, yeah, we're going to be that team this year. They show it early. They've shown it well. Here's the other upset you missed, and this is the team that, this was my team last year. San Diego State. Yeah, you missed it. It's okay. Oh, man, seeing San Diego State just absolutely crush UCLA, a team that I've notoriously hated for years. Yep. San Diego State comes in and says, yeah, remember us? Yeah, we're still here. We may have lost Malachi Flynn, but we're here to play. And you just saw big-time performances. You look at San Diego State, they're just outside of that top 25. They'll be in it if they keep playing the way they have so far.
Yep. We gotta love me some San Diego State love, because last year, or at least especially after they had such high hopes of getting the number 2 seed last year. They deserve all the love in the world after March Madness got canceled, and they're pretty much their only chance of being able to get such a high seed just disappear before their eyes. So it sucked to see that, but it's great that we're being able to talk about them. And I'll continue, since we're now out of the top 25.
We talk about. I'm sorry. Real quick. Did we talk about Houston?
We did skip over Houston.
Yeah. Let's. We're rewinding. Okay. Right. See. We're on the fly here, people. Yeah. So Houston, okay, who do they beat? Let's see, we're going back. Texas Tech. Texas Tech was originally ranked number 14. Houston walked in number 17. This was a game where you're like, all right, this is the prove it. This is the put up or shut up kind of game. Houston needed to prove that they could be that team, and they won. And they won very, very strongly. And so if you can get those convincing early wins, it can be that propeller that can really get you into being one of the best teams in the nation. Houston did a great job of showing that early.
Yep, and I would totally agree. I know we kind of mentioned a little bit about them, but they were able to knock off the super hyped up Mac McClung now led Texas Tech, as Mac McClung is on that Texas Tech team after he transferred from Georgetown, as everybody knew him was the big college star. So it was a big recruit for them, and it was looking like Texas Tech could be it, but this is a tough loss for them, and it's going to be stuck on the resume for the rest of the season. So they're going to have to really prove themselves the rest of it to see if this was either a fluke game for Houston or if this was something else. So now.
Yeah, and Texas, real quick. The next ranked opponent that Texas Tech plays is Kansas, and they don't play another one after that until January 16th. So they do not have a lot of strong resume games, so they could probably go on a run have 2 losses before mid-January, but they don't have any big things on their resume. Sorry, go ahead.
Yep, they're in, that's their real, like, the Kansas game's the only game that I think that's going to really matter for them, because that's the only game that's going to be able to boost them in the rankings if they ever do it. So but they got to focus one game at a time after this loss, and we'll finally move on to the basically crank the music and let's party, because guess who's not in the rankings this week?
Michigan!
Let's go! Celebrate.
The history with Michigan is they always are so high in the rankings for no damn reason. They all, oh yeah, you won this Atlantis tournament last year. You went from not even in the rankings. Let's put you at number 4, huh? Wait, what?
Makes
and
no
they never,
sense. Makes no sense.
They never proved it, never deserved it. Nothing. And
right now they're still ranked number 26, so they're still kind of in the hunt. But that's just because they played nobody. So once this Big Ten starts rolling around and they just start getting crushed, we'll all know why, because Michigan sucks. So it's great. It's another great week for us. And then we'll do one last team I want to kind of like just put in the spotlight after just a fun thing to bring up, as we like to cover the Missouri Valley. I had to talk about it. I just had to, as in Illinois State, actually, since we filmed this Thursday yesterday, after what is it? They're not a good team. Let's be honest. Illinois State basketball's been all right. They end up, their only like game that they had to prove themselves was against Ohio State. They got obliterated by them. But yesterday against a Division III school, I believe, in Greensville, they dropped the 4th most points in NCAA Division I history, 177 points. You do not see that every day. So I just want to kind of say congrats, let people know about this team. Congrats to them. They'll probably sink into the forgottenness for the rest of the season. But 177 points is hard to do. And I think they scored like about 80 at half. So that is a lot to take in.
Indeed. And, those are the performances you love to see, even if it's against a team that nobody's ever heard of. Hey, you at least scored 170. The final team I'm going to give a shout-out to, they are number 24. It is Rutgers. This is a team last year that also got put on the map. This was oh my God, they know how to play Big Ten. And Rutgers finally, in sports the past couple of years, has proven that they finally belong in the Big Ten. This has been that sport. They did not move up, but they're 3-0. They've played really good. And Rutgers is definitely a team that I can see competing for the Big Ten at the end of the year.
All righty. Well, that's probably going to conclude our Week 2 rankings of NCAA basketball breakdown. There's a lot of teams to take over as seasons finally started, and teams are now basically we've started our college basketball upsets, and it's always great to see them, especially when it's the bigger schools, kind of like a Kentucky or a Virginia or Villanova dropping 11 to 9 to 10 spots. So it's crazy seeing things like that happen, but who knows what's going to happen next week. But until then, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and we'll see you guys next week.
Have a good week, everybody.